All right, let's go over how to do the banded reverse Nordic. So remember, with the reverse Nordic, because it's a challenging movement, using a band to help us out is going to help us get a little bit better range of motion, range of movement, okay? So you're going to mount a band a little bit above your head. If you're standing up, which you will be when you mount the band, at about your shoulder height when you're standing. And then when you're on your knees, it'll be probably somewhere a little bit above your head, okay? So that's where you're gonna mount your band. As far as the strength of the band, you'll have to test this out, okay? But the goal is, we'll get into positioning in just a second, but the goal is that when you're doing the reverse Nordic, that it's helping you both when you go down and when you're in the bottom position, that it's still supporting some of your weight. It's still helping hold you up, and then going back up. So you should feel like this is helping you during the entire movement. And if it doesn't feel like it's providing that much help, you either want to get a heavier band or tighten up on the band, either by wrapping it around your hands and shortening up on it or getting further away from it, okay? So to increase that tension so that it's doing more of the work, okay? All right, so we already got the band thing figured out, right? Now on our knees, I do recommend using some sort of foam pad, which I have right here, just covered in a decorative burlap thing. If you have trouble with having direct pressure on your kneecaps, a little tip for that is to have your knees on the pad, but your kneecaps just over the edge of the pad. And then that way you can be on your knees with no direct pressure on your kneecaps, and that should help, okay? Get my band back. For your toes, they can either be digging into the ground or with the tops of your feet on the ground like this, either one. And our starting position is in this tall kneeling. Our knees are about hip width apart, just a comfortable distance, whatever is comfortable. And we have a nice upright torso to start. So what that means is from the side, we have the ear in line with the shoulder that goes down the center of the hip joint down to the knee, okay? So all of this is a nice vertical line to start. And before we do the movement, I just want to point out the two main things to keep in mind to do this movement well and to get the most benefit out of it. The two main things are try to keep the glutes soft. We'll go over that, but we really want the quads to be working, and in order for that to happen, we need to make sure we're not tightening the glutes, so keep them soft, and keep a flat hip. So as we go back, we want this hip to stay flat and not for it to start creasing, okay? So flat hip, soft glutes, okay? All right, so you're gonna hold one end of the band in each hand, and your hands are just out in front of you, just, you know, just like this. Just be comfortable. They're just there to help you. Okay, now we have this upright torso here. Hi, I'm Razel. If you're a woman in your over 40s like myself, and you know that you should be incorporating some resistance training in your life, but you've just felt overwhelmed, not knowing where to start, not knowing how to do it safely, I create in-depth tutorials not only to show you how to do it, but really break it down, show you common mistakes to avoid, and also how to make it easier and harder. Oftentimes when we start a movement, we may not be able to do that exact movement right away, so there's ways to make it easier. If that sounds good to you and you like my style of teaching, come on over to my website at inspirefulwomen.com. As we lower ourselves, we do have this band to support us, which is great. But what we want to, again, think about is keeping that soft glute and the flat hip. And we're going to have the front of our core muscles here, our ab muscles, and our quadriceps. They are going to be working along with the band to resist the pull of gravity. So as we move backwards, gravity is actually trying to make us fall backwards very quickly, right? If we didn't have the band and if we weren't trying, we would just totally fall backwards, right? As soon as we started leaning back. So what we're doing is we're using all these muscles along with the band to actively try to slow that process down. So instead of just going back super fast, you know, and just falling, we are using the muscles to lower in a controlled way. Now you're gonna be able to go back further with the band than if you were doing the regular reverse Nordic without a band, right? Because you've got the band helping you. When you get to the point where you feel like you can't lean back any further without your form failing, meaning like you're gonna, you start bending the hips or start arching the back or something like that, Once you get to there, you can hold for 2 to 3 seconds. Then you want to think about contracting your quadricep muscles to pull your body back up to the upright position. Okay, so these muscles, once we're here, they're contracting to bring the body back up. All right, so that's what we're doing. So let's just go ahead and do a few together now. Now, something that I like to do is between each rep, I kind of like reset my form, because I talked about the soft glute idea, right? Which I feel like we just naturally end up tightening the glute because it kind of helps keep the hip extended. So it's just going to be a natural thing to start doing. So after I do a rep, I try to kind of reset, try to soften my glutes, right? Make sure I have that flat hip before doing the next rep. And remember, again, the reason we're doing that is so that our goal here is to really work those quad muscles, and that's what's going to help us to do that. Now, just a couple other things to point out with our form as we do the movement. Remember, basically think of this as the only movement that is occurring is a bending and unbending of the knee, okay? And so you want to kind of think from the knee up, the rest of us here, you want to think about the rest of us, we're like an ironing board. Does anyone even have those anymore? I have one like tucked away in my barn in like the loft. So on occasion I pull it out for stuff, but I don't know, maybe you or a family member wears dress clothes. I don't know. Anyhow, so this area, this is like an ironing board, meaning it's not going to bend. We're not going to bend at the spine. We're not bending anywhere else. So all of this, it's a straight line here, and it's going to go back and be a diagonal line, a diagonal straight line now, right? And as it comes back, it's just all one piece, and it's just bending the knee and unbending the knee. That's the only movement. Keep all of the rest of this nice and still and straight as we go back up. I'm going to just show you now with my toes dug into the ground. It's just a little different, just so you can see how that looks. Thanks for being with me today, ladies. Once again, I'm Razel, and if you're a woman in your over 40s like myself, and you'd like to do full-length workouts using these same types of movements, I do create that as well. These workouts are done in beautiful outdoor nature settings with chill music. So, key difference between most workouts, more chill music. If that sounds like more your style, come on over to my website at inspirefulwomen.com.